Hi guys, I'm Chantel and welcome to Intentional Homeschooling. Today I'm going to be sharing my huge mother culture morning basket stack. I've done a few mother culture morning baskets on here before. Pretty much the idea is just a bunch of stuff that I go through in the morning as a mother. These are things that I use to help grow. I do not do all of these things each morning, and this is kind of just books that I'm picking from during this autumn season. We're gonna go in the order of the smallest things to the largest because that's currently how I have it stacked, and the stack is large. I'm just gonna show you here. Yeah, so I don't do this every day. I do portions of it every day, but not all of it every day. It's kind of a little bit loop schedule-y for myself. I do certain things and then the other portion, depending how much time I have, I'll pull from these resources. So I'll get into it and then hopefully it will make more sense. The first thing I thought I would include is, it says bullet journal on it. I just got this from the Dollarama. This is what I would consider my commonplace notebook. That is a Charlotte Mason term, I think, or was it even pre-Charlotte Mason? I'm not even sure. It's pretty much just a notebook with a bunch of random things. I keep book quotes and movie quotes, ideas for podcasts that my husband and I are filming, all sorts of things, my goals, some dreams, just a bunch of random things in this notebook. I also have a million other notebooks, but this is kind of my main one for this season. Then let's go into some of the books that I have been reading and want to be reading this season. So for the last month I've been reading Total Church. This is by Tim Chester and Steve Timmis, and I am that far into the book. I'm supposed to be done it already. I'm reading it because of a class I'm taking through my church and I'm enjoying it, but it's just one of these books, sometimes I come across books like this where it's taking me a long time to read. I can read a few pages and then I gotta put it down, process what I've read, and I can't pick it up right away again. So this is one of them. Then I also just started The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. Now this one, I'm actually pretty far already, and I just started it yesterday because he's got such good paragraph breaks that you're turning pages quite frequently. It feels like you're getting really far, even though you haven't read a ton. So Jared and I have been talking about this quite a bit in our podcast recently. So in case you're not aware, we have a podcast called Poured Out that we started 2 months ago maybe. It's just talking about all sorts of things about life and how Jesus reigns over it all. I'm not really sure. I don't really have a podcast synopsis blurb yet. But we watched the sessions on this on Right Now Media and really enjoyed it. And I wanted to see what else was included in the book that he obviously couldn't include in the Right Now Media sessions. And so far I would highly recommend this book. It's just all about trying to slow down and live more of the life that Jesus lived, and not this frantic, all the things all the time kind of life that society is living. Then for the first time, I am reading this book through very slowly. So this is Seasons of a Mother's Heart by Sally Clarkson. I always intend to read this book as it's set up. It's set up seasonally, so it starts with spring and then it goes through the seasons. And then I end up reading the entire book within a month. I have so many highlights in this book that I have highlighted over the few times that I've read it. But for the first time, I'm actually reading it seasonally. So I'm currently in the fall chapters, and then I plan on finishing it up in winter for the first time. So I feel like this is really great homeschool and mothering encouragement. Her gentle ways just really encourages me and is what I need. And I highlight all the things. There's so many great passages and inspiration in here, and they just published a second edition of this book, I think this summer. So I'm actually really tempted to get it because I love this book and I'm curious to see what she's added in. I think this was the first book she ever published. I think it was published in 92, I want to say. 98. Oh, okay, so it's later than I thought. But I'm pretty sure this was her first book published. And then a book I started a while ago, I'm not super far into, is How to Pray, a simple guide for normal people. A subscriber on my booktube channel had sent this to me and I've started it. I don't know, I don't feel like I've gleaned a whole lot out of it yet, but I want to continue it. So this is one of those things that when I get through the things that I do each day, which I'll get to yet in the stack, then this is one of the books that I can pick up. And then I did mention in our curriculum video that I am reading It Couldn't Just Happen, Knowing the Truth About God's Awesome Creation. This is a book that I assigned to my daughter last year and then realized I really wanted to read it with her. Okay, family interruptions happens in life. She was reading this last year and I realized I really wanted to read it with her and discuss different things. So you can go back to the curriculum video if you want to know more about it, but I'm really enjoying it and I'm glad that I made her stop so we could kind of go through it together. And then 2 books that I'm going to be picking up soon. I don't know if I'm reading these through all the way or just leafing through, gleaning what works for me, is the Wild and Free Nature book. So this has 25 outdoor adventures for kids to explore, discover, and awaken their curiosity. I kind of feel like I just am going to skim through this right now and then maybe dive deeper into it in the spring. But we'll see. We'll see where it takes me. This is one for my stack. And then the other one is the holidays one. This one is 35 festive family activities to make the seasons bright. And I just want to do a really good job focusing in on different seasons and holidays. And I'm excited to dive into this one. I'll give you like a peek of a few pages here. Oh, they've got like a whole page on finding the right tree, which won't be applicable because we definitely go the fake tree route here. Nature stamped ornaments, that's kind of cool. Yeah, so we'll just go through it, see what I want to do for Christmas with them. I think it's, oh no, there's definitely some like Thanksgiving, oh yeah, and Valentine's Day. So I feel like it's kind of like right from October till, I don't know, let's say February-ish. So I'll look through that. Then one of the things that I want to do is try out a few different homeschool methods, and I love this book. This is the Charlotte Mason Companion by Karen Andriola. I've actually read this through at least twice. Highlight a bunch of things when I go through it. I really enjoy it. I'm not going to read it all this time through. I'm just going to focus on parts that I really want to pull out, and I want to do an experiment where we try like the full-on Charlotte Mason method for a week or 2 and see how that goes. We definitely pull elements of the Charlotte Mason method into our homeschool right now, but I think it would be fun to try like hardcore Charlotte Mason for a little while. I think this is how I would learn best. I don't think it's how my kids would learn best. So that's a hard spot as a homeschool parent. Then another thing I've got is, this is actually now called something else because apparently Karen Andriola, they have trademarked the word mother culture, the phrase mother culture, which is interesting because I feel like those are just like 2 words that they can trademark that. So I guess when I title this video, I won't call it my mother culture morning basket because that is apparently trademarked. I think I just call it a mother's journal now. And this has, I've separated it, I'll show you, into different weeks. So there's a section for prayer. I'm obviously showing you one that I haven't filled out yet. We've got a space for scripture writing, so I like pick a passage. Then new to me, like you pick a focus to study. Oh, here's a spot. My focus. Make note of the areas you want to focus on with your family, others around you, in your heart, other things that are on your heart. New to me, so this is a page to document your own learning, space for notes, and then there's a space at the beginning to do other things. And I've gone through here. I find that this is a really good thing for me for the colder months. I don't really, it's hard to show because I don't want to show you like my filled in prayer pages and stuff. But like here's my scripture writing from, I think this was the spring or earlier in the summer. Yeah, some like of my research notes and stuff. So I like this, but I do find that in the summer I was just too busy, so I thought this would be another thing to add in during the autumn going into the winter season. Okay, and this is a study that I have been doing forever. It is the Daily Grace Co. Preaching the Gospel to Yourself. I did a Daily Grace Co. haul. Ooh, okay, my words are getting mixed up. Was that like a year ago? Possibly more than. And I have not really worked my way through the stuff as much as I thought I would. I still have, I think, a week left in this study, and I started it back at least in the spring, maybe the winter. And I feel like their studies, I understand why people do like them, but I don't think they really work for me. I like their information, so it gives you like passages to read, then you read this information, and then there's questions, and sometimes I feel like the questions are either too elementary, or I feel like they're fishing for a certain answer. Like, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't work with the way my brain works, so I'm not a huge fan, but at the same time I really do like the information that they have here. So I do plan on finishing this study at least, and then I have a couple other ones that I might pull out when the time arises for them, but I'm not super keen on it. Okay, now here's a beast of like a textbook. This is Educating the Wholehearted Child, but this is pretty much by Clay Clarkson with Sally Clarkson. It's mostly Clay. And this is set up like a homeschooling textbook. I started this in the spring as well. I feel like definitely more of my reading, I mean, my fiction reading continues all year long, but more of my nonfiction reading happens in the October to March months. But this has tons of different chapters, and I plan on just hopping around to the different things that I find kind of fit where we are at the time. So I read the first chapter, how much did I read? I've read the first 3 chapters, and then I jumped to, I think, chapter 8. I'm just kind of hopping all over. And so this isn't a sit down and read from front to back kind of book, but it is a really good resource. Okay, now the stuff that I actually do every day. The first thing is read my Bible. And so lately, this last year, I've been reading the Bible recap. I've talked about this quite a few times. This is a 1-year chronological read through of the Bible. So you have like your passage for the day. So it's usually 3 chapters, but it depends because it is chronological. So I read that in my Bible, and then it has a summary here, and then with a spot, they call it a God shot, which is just an area where you can see God working in the passage that you read that day. And so I'll be reading this until the end of the year. This will be my 2nd time through it. So I started it in November of last year, and then I finished it in May. So I read the Bible chronologically in 6 months. And then my small group was doing it, but they started in January, so I, in May, jumped in where they were. So yeah, reading it like 1.5 times in just over a year. And then the last thing I do is I go through my binder. So the first thing I have here is my classics TBR, just a bunch of classics I want to read in the next number of years. So I don't know, I just decided to put that in the cover. And then tucked away inside there I have my reading journal. A lot of these, so my reading journal, this mother's journal, I have available in my shop as digital downloads or on Amazon as already printed books. And I do like digital downloads for a lot of things, but I also really like the physical books. And then I have a Lebanese Snicket quote on the back here. It says, "Never trust anyone who has not brought a book with them." I can agree with that because I bring a book with me everywhere. So yeah, so this reading journal has a space for short little book reviews, kind of just to keep track of what you're reading. So I go through and fill in any books that I finished, any books that I started. Yeah, I started this one in April, and I'm already this far into it because I read so many books. So there's that. And then also in my binder, I keep my line a day. Now I've talked about the kids line a day quite a bit, and in my past mother culture journal videos, I've talked about my line a day as well. So you can also buy this physically or digitally. And I actually don't think I have a physical copy, one you can buy from Amazon, but if people are interested, I could get that available. So it's just a I had to make sure I found a page that didn't have any of our foster kids' names. So it's just says the date, and then there's a spot for you to put the day of the week, the year, and a few lines of something that happened that day. And then the next year you'll be writing on the next line. So I'm on my 2nd year of this already, and it's really cool to see things that were happening at this time last year. And then, oh, right beside it here, I have this download from Elise Joy. It's a 1-year tracker, and this is where I'm tracking my like daily walks. I haven't gone every single day of the year, but I've gone most days. And then I have printables for my goals that I set for myself at the beginning of the year. So I just printed them off, that way I can look at them and be reminded about them. And it's really good for me to remember my goals, because sometimes I set them and then promptly forget what they are. And then I have a couple book pages in here. So like this is 12 books I want to read in 2022. And then also my 2022 Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. So those are all things I'm doing over my BookTube channel. And then there's a lady on BookTube who's doing another reading challenge that I've joined in on. So I have that all in here. And then at the back I have my homeschool vision planner that I filled out in like August, September while I was planning that. And that's what's in my binder. So I always do go through my binder, fill in things I need to there. Always do my Bible. And then a variety of different reading from the things that I've pulled out here. If you have like a mother morning time basket, that's probably what I'll call this because it doesn't have the word culture in it. I would love to hear what you have in it. Do you change it seasonally? I always love resource ideas, especially if they're books. There are a few things I want to add in all the time, but sometimes you gotta decide, is it full enough? Do I need to add more? And when I say basket, it's actually just on my bookshelf. We have the Billy bookcases from IKEA, and then we have a half wide one, and I have like a section there where I keep a lot of this. So that's just where I like to store it. Yeah, I would love to hear what you guys keep in your mother basket. Thanks so much for being here.